guys, please listen now. All right. So today, listen carefully, honestly, and I mean this. All right, that adding and subtracting radicals are very easy. All right, if you learn how to break down radicals, this is going to be really simple. All right. Now, I want you to know that when you add and subtract radicals, radicals are the same characteristics as you would for adding and subtracting variables. And what I mean by that is, if I said, what's 2x plus 3x, you would simply say it is 5x. Because remember, the number in front says how many of the radicals you have. All right? So let's look at number 1. All right? So I already heard the answer, and I think that's outstanding. All right? Again, the number in front represents how many you have. So in this case, we would say I have what? I have 2 of the radical 2's, and I'm adding what? 4 more of the radical 2's. That's how you should be thinking of radicals. All right, look how simple that is. All right, if you know how to combine like terms, this is very simple. All right, if I said, for example, radical 3 plus radical 2, the biggest mistake kids make is to say that's radical what? 5. That is not. You can't do anything with it. It's like adding x and y. You can't add x and y. You cannot add x and y. All right, therefore you cannot add radical 3 and radical 2 together. The only way you can add radicals is if you have the same radical. All right, so in this case, all right, what I want to do is we're just going to go right down the page. All right, we're going to go right down the page. So the first one I've heard many times now is 6 radical 2. All right, now, like last week, as soon as you don't know something, speak up. Some of you are getting better at that now because you understand what I'm saying. It's not going to get any easier. All right, number 3. 7 radical 7. 7 radical 7. All right? What, are you having trouble with 11 minus 4?
Oh, okay, never mind.
All right, number 5. 5 radical 7 plus 3 radical 6. There's nothing to do. There's nothing to do. You have 5 radical 7's and you're trying to add something completely different. So it's like adding, again, x and y. There's nothing you can do. You would just write down 5 radical 7 plus 3 radical 6. All right? There's no way to add them. All right? Number 7. Negative 3 radical 3. Number 9. 7 radical 3x. All right, any questions? All right, here we go.
It's 6 radical 3. 5 radical 3.
Okay, so on question number 11, remember we've talked about this extensively. X. All right, there's an understood what? 1. That's 1x. So in this case, there would be, if you want, put a 1 there. That's like 1 radical 3.
So 6 radical.
So altogether we have 6 radical 3. All right, 6 radical 3.
Why is there a 1 for that one, like an imaginary one, for that one, for that one?
Show me where it's not.
For the example you did, why weren't there imaginary?
You can put them if you want.
But then when you do,
No, they weren't the same. All right, the radicals have to be exactly the same. All right, so look at 13. 5 radical 7 minus 2 radical 7 is 3 radical 7. Plus 1 is, there you go. Put a 1 there. Sometimes it's helpful. 4 radical 7. All right. Now here what I'd like you to recognize is that these two just do what? Cancel out. So now we know it is simply 5 radical 5x. Okay, now here's the good part. All right, here's where you have to use what you learned last week. All right, because you shouldn't be looking at radical 12. You should be looking at that and saying that is just what? 2 radical 3. All right, and everybody at this stage should be able to just say radical 12 is 2 radical 3. All right, anybody need help breaking that down? All right, so 2 radical 3 plus 2 radical 3? 4 radical 3. All right. And the square root of 20. 2 radical 5. 2 radical 5 minus 1 radical 5 is just radical 5. If you want to put the 1 in front, feel free. All right, so 54. We talked about 54 a lot. Now listen to me. I want everybody to, yeah, 3 radical 6. But remember, what we're doing is this, is that able to break down? No, 6 doesn't break down. So probably this is going to have 6. Is everybody with me on that? All right, so you use 1 to help you figure out the other. All right, so radical 54. Somebody tell me what that is.
3 radical 6.
Right, very good. 2 radical 6 minus 3 radical 6.
Negative.
Yes. Negative 1 radical 6, which is negative radical 6. All right. Now, 50. This helps you. 50 is the easy one. 50 breaks down to what? 5 radical 2. Now, the reason why I'm saying that is because I want to use this 2, and I want this to be a 2. So 72, again, remember, is 36 times 2. Do you agree with that?
Yeah.
Right? So that would be 6 radical 2. But do you understand what I'm saying? I'm trying to show you that what's inside will generally work out to be the same thing. So if you forget the radicals, you can use 1 to help you with the other. Connor, are you still with me or not? Come on. All right, so your final answer is 11 radical 2. 11 radical 2. All right, is everybody good? All right, let's keep going. All right, now 12 is the easy one. What's in 12? Right, so 4 times 3. What's the square root of 4? 2 times 3. Now, please make sure you understand what I just did. So that's 6 radical 3. Remember, the number in front is what you multiply when you pull the number out, because this is 3 times the square root of 12. Okay, one more time. I'll just break it down really slow. Here we go. Watch. Here's what I want you to realize. I want you to say this is 3 times 12 is 4 times 3. You agree with that? What's the square root of 4? So now it's going to be 3 times 2 radical 3. Does that make sense now? And then the 3 times 2 is what? 6 radical 3. Now, he asked you a good question, which probably means he wasn't listening to me earlier. What do you think I'm going to multiply? How does 48 break down?
I see.
No, you're not listening to me. No, by the 3. Listen to what I'm saying now. It doesn't always work out this way, but if that's a 3, there's probably a 3 left behind in the other one. So on your calculator, if you don't know 16 times 3 is 48, you would just take your calculator and do 48 divided by 3. And what do you know? Magic. What is it? 16. All right. So this breaks down to 16 times 3, which is minus 4 radical 3. So 6 radical 3 minus 4 radical 3 is 2 radical 3. Very important. All right, any questions? All right. 45 is what? 9 times 5, right? Now let's try to do this together now. Square root of 9 is, so the number in front's 2. So you multiply the 2 and the 3 together. So 6 radical 5. Right? Right? And then what happens? Square root of 4 is, there's a 2 out in front. There you go. Your final answer there is 2 radical 5. Everybody with me on this? What?
When you're trying to find like what goes into like radical, you just guess and check.
Well, you're looking for, remember the perfect squares.
Oh.
Remember the perfect squares 1, 4, 9, 16, 25.
Yeah, okay.
You got, the question is, how do I know that? Just because I know perfect
No, I was
squares.
gonna ask like 9. I need 2 of them 9, but that doesn't matter.
Yeah. All right. Okay, so let's take a look at square root of 12. By now, again, I'm telling you, you should look at 12 and just say that is what? 2 radical 3. It's like seeing numbers differently. I shouldn't have to break square root of 12 down anymore.
Yeah, I see.
You just look at 12 and say that's 2 radical 3. Just like you should look at 27 and just say that's 3 radical 3. That's what you should be seeing. So final answer. 4 radical 3. All right. All right. 24.
Do 6. And so it'd be 6 radical 6, and then it would be negative 3 radical 6, and then plus radical 6, and it's 4 radical 6. And it's 5.
Anybody have any issues? Do we agree? That's easy. It's very easy. All right. So your final answer, 4 radical 6. All right. Now one more of these, and then we'll get to the variables. All right. So here we go. So 10 radical 2 plus, go ahead, 9 radical 2. Right, and you're trying to remember 32 is 16 times 2. All right, not 4 and 8, because you have to break it down twice. All right? So altogether, your final answer is what? 15 radical 2. 15 radical 2. All right? All right, now we're going to get to the variables. All right, so same principle here. All right? Square root of 27 is just what?
3 radicals.
So, yeah, so this, not difficult. 3a radical 3. Now, the square root of a squared can come out as what? A minus 2a radical 3. Is everybody good with that?
Oh, so you move it.
Yeah, so it's just 3a minus 2a, which is 1a radical 3 or just a radical 3. All right, either way. Okay? Now, in 37, let's review this because it's been a while. 5 square root.
Radical 3x squared x.
There you go. And now you break down the x squared, which is 5x radical 3x. All right. And now 27 plus 6 radical. Is everybody with me on this? All right. Now look. Here is what's hard here, guys. Pay attention. Listen. This right here is the same as this. Do we agree? So now we can do what? We can add the 5x and the 6, but really do the 5x and the 6 combined? No. So here's what I want you to write down. That is the same as 5x plus 6. Now that has to be in parentheses. You have 5x plus 6, what? Radical 3x. All right, so believe it or not, you just did a factoring problem. All right, you did a factoring problem. All right, but again, hopefully you understand that you added 5x and 6, but you can't add 5x plus 6. All right. Now, the reason why you need a parentheses is because it's not 6 radical 3x. All right. Now, 39 through 45. Get out your calculator real quick. Sometimes on standardized tests, they want you to estimate. All right. So you have to use your calculator now. All right. This page was written twice, right? Yeah, I don't know why it was written twice.
That's not okay.
Okay. So now, everybody on question number 39. All right, all you're doing is typing in the square root of 3 minus the square root of 2. And it says to round to the nearest hundredth. So the square root of 3 minus the square root of 2 is about what?
0.317.
Okay, point 3. Is it 0.32 then? If it says round to the nearest hundredth,
It'd be 0.318, yeah.
that's to the thousandths.
Wait, I got 0.32, yeah. Sorry.
So type in on your calculator square root of 3 minus the square root of 2.
I didn't get that. I got 1.
Well, it's definitely not negative.
I got 1.2.
Their calculator's 1.26.
I got
1.2.
I got 1.26.
Okay, I got the calculator. Listen, the problem here now is actually I'm glad we're doing this because here's why you're making your mistake. Look up, please. If you type in your calculator and it comes up the square root with the parentheses. Now, some of the new calculators don't. So if it's square root of 3 minus the square root of 2, you get the wrong answer. Right? So it has to be the square root of 3, close the parentheses,
Why does it have any?
minus the square root of 2. What?
Yeah, mine doesn't have any.
Yeah, they're better, actually.
Oh, okay, I got 1.
All right, so if you have to push to the right to get out from under the radical, also.
Oh. Oh.
So please be careful. Look, it's just a calculator, okay? Square root of 3, push over, minus the square root of 2.
0.317.
All right? Now, here we go. The square root of 5 plus the square root of 3. Connor, what are you doing? It's not funny to me. Just go borrow a calculator then. Get up. Tired of it. Come on, you're forever behind because you just sit in class and do nothing.
It's 3.968. So
It's 3.968.
Yeah, I know. And we're going to 2 decimal places because remember, on your ERBs, they might ask you to round to the hundredth. All right, and if you can't round to the hundredth, we're in a little bit of trouble. All right, so it's the hundredth is to the second decimal place.
3.97.
So we say 3.97. All right, 43. Now, 4 radical 3. You don't have to put in the times. You just say 4 radical 3. Now, if you have to close the parentheses, close the parentheses. If you got to get outside the radical, go to the right of the radical. Minus 7 radical 5.
Negative 8.72.
Did you say radical?
No. Negative 8.72. All right? And now I'm asking for 5 radical 7 plus 8 radical 13.
42.07.
42.07. Anybody have any issues? All right, now you know how to use your calculator. Right, Connor? All right, does anybody have any issues? All right, now, for whatever reason, and I'm not exactly sure, I think when I was trying to make this worksheet up, I hit this one twice by accident. Isn't that the same thing?
Yeah.
All right, and I thought I could delete it, but it's not.
Go to
Wipe it out.
You're like the
You wait. Erase this 7.
You hit the
Wait,
C
no.
button.
Go erase that 7.
Oh, I got you now. Thank you.
You press the T button at the top.
Here we go. There it is. Thank you. So now I can click on it and delete the page. Yeah, that's better. And everybody should do that. All right. All right, now let's go back. Now I want to find the perimeter of the rectangle, which is really not a big deal, but it's a good review for the future ERBs coming up. All right, the square root of 36 is what?
6.
And the square root of 49.
7.
So the perimeter would just be,
Oh.
and we would say 26 units because they don't put an inch or a foot or a yard or a mile or kilometers, meters, whatever. So they're just 26 units.
Yeah.
12 and 14 are two sides.
12 plus.
Oh, 6 plus 6, 7 plus 7.
Perimeter, distance around. Okay, here we go. Now we're going to find the perimeter. All right. Now, 108 and 47. 47 is kind of hard for most kids because they don't see that that is 7 times 49. Oh, I'm sorry, not 7 times 49. I don't know what I was thinking. 347.
It's 7.
So yes, 49 times 3. So thank you. I'm sorry, I don't know what I was saying. 7 radical 3. On 108, I do know this one, 36 times 3. All right. So now your final answer is 6 radical 3. All right. So the length and the width together are 13 radical 3, and then you multiply that by 2. So the perimeter would be, yes, 26 radical 3. All right, is everybody okay with that? 26 radical 3.
Wait, how do you get the 7 radical?
Because 49 times 3. And then, thank you, don't forget the units. All right. Now let's find the perimeter of the triangle.
1/2
All right.
base times height.
That would be area.
Oh.
All right, we're still doing perimeter. So we're adding things up. So the first thing I noticed right off the bat
You can pencil out.
is that this negative radical 2 and the positive radical 2 do what?
So,
They cancel. So your final answer is
2 radical 3.
no, it's
all right. 3 plus 2 radical 3. Again, remember the 3 and the radical 3 cannot be put together. All right. 3, listen to me. 3 is called a rational number. Radical 3 is called an irrational number. The difference is one can be written as a fraction and one cannot be written as a fraction. Yes.
Wait. Oh, never mind.
All right. Any questions with 49? 49 was a good one. Yes.
Alright, so I understand 3 radical 3. Oh, where did you get the 2? Only 2.
Yeah.
Would you just, oh, come on. Thank you guys. I got this under control. Here, remember, James, 1 plus 1 today is 2. There are 2 radical 3s. You cannot combine the radical 3s with the number 3. Or you cannot. One is rational, the others are irrational. You don't combine them. Just because they have 3s, they're not the same. All right? So let's take a look at number 50 just to make sure.
3's cancel out. It's going to be 4 plus 2 radical
4 plus 2 radical 5. All right? Now again, honestly, guys, there's time to finish. All right? You should be able to zoom right down and do the evens. Go ahead, Connor. Good for you,
How did
buddy.
you get the plus 2?
How did I get 2 radical 5?
No, like the plus 2. Yeah, the plus 2 radical.
Look-
Oh!
It's 2.
No. You see that now?
Oh, yeah.
1 radical 5 and 1 radical
Wait, but
5.
then what about the 3's? Like the radical 3's?
They do what to each
Oh,
other?
they cancel out.
Yes, because one's negative, one's positive. You hear me on that, right? Okay, guys, thank you so much. Good job for today. Please go right down now and just zip through the evens. You might want to double check with your neighbor just to make sure you're correct. All right? Or what you do is you check over and look at the odds. All right? If you have a little trouble, check the odd. All right? Very easy. Tomorrow, kind of easy also. Just multiplication.